Discover how a housekeeper's unexpected act transformed the lives of two blind millionaires' kids. The grand mansion stood tall on the outskirts of Chicago, a towering symbol of wealth and isolation. Inside its marble-floored halls, 12-year-old Ethan and Mia lived in a cocoon of luxury that was as soft as velvet yet suffocating, devoid of warmth or laughter. They were both blind, aware of the world through sound and touch, yet trapped in the lavish silence created by their father's relentless pursuit of status. Mr. Thompson, a businessman whose ambitions dwarfed even the mansion's high ceilings, had built an empire but left his children emotionally stranded in a mausoleum of riches. Each day was a reminder of their father's absence, as he poured himself into his work, unaware of the emotional void that festered between them. But things began to shift with the arrival of Clara, the new housekeeper who carried the weight of her modest upbringing yet sparkled with life. An unexpected whirlwind in their rigid routine, Clara brought warmth to the sterile environment. With a mere flick of her voice, she breathed magic into mundane tales of resilience and love, painting worlds for Ethan and Mia that blossomed with color even though their eyes were forever dark. They listened intently, each story, each word, crafting landscapes of adventure that pulled them gently from the confines of their high-walled prison. Clara's humor and insights, echoing through empty rooms, ignited a flicker of life in Ethan and Mia, drawing them out of the shadows of their existence. Yet, as excitement bloomed, so did dread. Mr. Thompson entered the scene, surveying the change in his children with a critical eye. He found Clara's stories trivial, a distraction from the polished future he envisioned for them, one filled with affluent connections and unyielding expectations. On one hand, he basked in pride for the empire he built. On the other, confusion gnawed at him as he sensed an emotional distance from his children, a distance he was partly responsible for. Torn between his identity as a successful father and the architect of his children's future, he felt a sharp desire to confront Clara, demanding she stop planting seeds of distraction that he believed could shatter the legacy he was determined to leave. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Mr. Thompson grapples with his internal conflict, anxiety replaces hope. Each clash of ideals pushed him closer to his own breaking point. Would he deny his children their voices, their memories crafted from Clara's stories? The air became dense with unspoken truths, filled with a growing tension that twisted in his chest. Ethan and Mia, fueled by Clara's encouragement, explored music and art with fervor, unbeknownst to their father, who remained ensnared in his ideals of wealth and prestige. What would happen if they dared to show their creations to the world? Anxiety surged like wildfire in their hearts as they readied for an art show that could change everything. But Mr. Thompson, could he ever come to see that true wealth lay in connection rather than cold, hard cash? As they stood on the precipice of revelation, the mansion echoed with anxious breaths, leaving everyone questioning whether love could transcend the growing chasm between a father's ambition and his children's yearning for connection. The night loomed ahead, holding its breath for sacrifice and transformation. In the heavy silence of the mansion, Ethan and Mia stood before their makeshift gallery, their hearts racing as they prepared for the unveiling of their artworks. Clara had guided them lovingly through their creative process, encouraging them to use their other senses to translate their experiences into their chosen mediums. Each brushstroke, each note was a testament to their yearning for expression, a voice they had long sought but been denied. Ethan's fingers grazed over the textured canvas, feeling the outlines of colors and shapes formed by the paint he and Mia had carefully chosen. He focused on the cacophony of feelings that swirled within him, anticipation mingled with a breathless fear of rejection. Would their father recognize the depth of their passion, or would he brand their work as frivolous, a trivial distraction from his grand design? Meanwhile, Mia sat nearby, her fingers moving rhythmically over the strings of her guitar, a recent discovery that Clara lovingly encouraged. Each strum resonated not just in the air, but deep within her. It became a dialogue of emotions, a voice speaking where sight failed. Her melodies danced through the cavernous spaces of the mansion, weaving in and out, challenging the very silence that had oppressed them for years. But beneath her fierce determination lay a gnawing doubt. How would they share their symphonies with a world that had always seemed so distant? As the evening approached, Clara entered the room, her presence a comforting anchor amid rising tensions. "Do you both feel ready?" she asked, gently, her voice a soothing balm. Ethan looked at Mia, searching for a reassuring nod. "I think so, but I'm scared," he admitted, the vulnerability cracking the facade of confidence he had attempted to build. "Scared of what?" Clara prompted, her encouraging gaze steady. "The way he'll react," Mia finally spoke up, her voice trembling. "What if he thinks it's all silly, that it's a waste of time?" Clara knelt to meet their level, her expression soft with understanding. "Art isn't about pleasing others, it's about expressing yourselves, and that is priceless." As those words settled in, Ethan felt a flicker of resolve burgeon within him. Yet he sensed that the greater battle lay ahead. Not just the show that evening, but the confrontation with their father, whose vision of success loomed like a thundercloud overhead, threatening to drown their newfound expressions with a storm of disapproval. Silence again consumed the room as they prepared for the evening, until a heavy knock echoed from the entrance. Mr. Thompson had arrived home. The unmistakable steel of his presence crashed into the joy-filled atmosphere like a predatory shadow extinguishing light. Ethan's heart raced at the thought of revealing their world to him. Would Mr. Thompson listen, or would he dismiss them? Just another distraction in his meticulously crafted life plan. As they gathered their courage and walked toward the living room, the air crackled with tension. Each step resounded in their minds, questions surfacing about identity and purpose as they propelled themselves forward into the inevitable confrontation. The glow of the dimly lit room welcomed them, revealing their father's silhouette against the backdrop of opulence. But all at once, their world felt precarious, balanced on a knife edge where the promise of creativity met the weight of expectations. In that moment, the decision was clear. They wouldn't just showcase their art, they would stand up for their right to express who they were. But as the first words teetered on their lips, Clara's voice returned to Ethan's mind, reminding him that vulnerability carried strength. Tonight would not just be about art, it would be a declaration of their existence, a confrontation with the man who saw wealth as power. Would they find the courage to unveil not just their creations, but also their long-hidden selves? The moment they had waited for, where dreams met the potential for rejection or acceptance, loomed just ahead. Would this art show become their salvation or their undoing? The weight of their fears intertwined with hope as they faced their father for the first time, ready to challenge the very idea of what a legacy should be. Ethan's heart drummed in his chest, each beat echoing the conflicted terrain of hope and fear as they stepped into the living room. The taste of adrenaline clung to his tongue, almost metallic. With every second that passed, he wished to merge into the wooden frames of their creations, to live among the colors that narrated their hidden stories. The vulnerability he had prepared to embrace felt hollow again, as if time's unrelenting march was mocking his resolve. Mr. Thompson, seated on an elegantly upholstered chair, looked every inch the patriarch, unyielding and stately, underpinned by an aura of authority. The glimmer of wealth surrounded him, yet in that mansion, Ethan and Mia felt the crushing weight of expectations press upon them. The familiarity of this space, once a sanctuary, morphed into a stage for their most significant performance yet. It mattered not only what they would say, but how they would stand. "Dad," Ethan's voice broke the silence, wavering slightly as he felt Mia's presence close beside him. The unyielding support of her steady breath reinforcing his nerves. "We need to show you something." Mr. Thompson's gaze lifted, piercing and expectant. There was both curiosity and judgment in his eyes, an unspoken question about their intention. "What is it?" His tone held that familiar edge, the one that reminded Ethan of years spent in pursuit of approval that always felt just out of reach. They both took a step closer to where their artworks were displayed. "This is our art," Mia exhaled, the tremor of her voice betraying her confidence. "We made these pieces to express what we feel, who we are. They matter to us." Ethan observed as his father's brow furrowed, an almost imperceptible shift as he appraised the room. The silence stretched between them, thick and stifling. The aesthetic that encased their lives was utterly at odds with what they had created. What would he see? Mere splashes of color, or a depth of experience layered behind each brushstroke? His mind surged with insistent thoughts. Would Mr. Thompson's veneer of stoicism crack, or would he decry their work as an embarrassing folly? Just before the potential approval or rejection fell from their father's lips, Clara's voice echoed again in his mind. "Art is about expressing yourselves." "Do you think any of this is worthwhile?" Ethan pressed, his palms clammy with tension. "Can you see us in this?" A glimmer of curiosity flickered behind Mr. Thompson's stoic facade. He leaned forward, his attention fixated on Mia, who stood uncertainly beside her guitar, weaving the silent anticipation into something palpable. The invite to speak, an unspoken plea for validation, hung in the air. Without a word, Mia plucked at the strings thoughtfully, her fingers gliding over them like whispers, threading notes into the enveloping silence. The melody emerged, raw and unfiltered, with emotion bubbling up from the depths of her soul. Each note carried with it a story, one that echoed their struggles and painted their essence. Ethan felt emboldened, her courage ignited something within him. "That's what we want to share," he declared, moving to stand before the canvas he had poured his heart into. "We're not just good kids, we have something to say." The silence became a chasm filled with unspoken fears and hopes. Ethan could sense his father's scrutiny morphing into contemplation, though uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Just then, the cracks in the steel wall of Mr. Thompson's resolute demeanor seemed to widen momentarily. The revelation was almost electric, an awakening in their father's gaze. Ethan held his breath, craving not just acknowledgement, but understanding. Would he allow himself to see beyond what he had constructed as a legacy, to acknowledge the richness of emotion infused in their art? The moment lingered, buoyed by both apprehension and budding hope. Was this the shift they had sought, or merely another futile attempt to breach the fortress of expectations? As Mr. Thompson's lips parted to speak, Ethan's body tingled with a desire for validation and a looming dread of disappointment. Stood on the precipice of transformation. The next words could either drown them in despair or unfurl a new chapter of their lives. Would their father finally see them? Would he let go of his rigid narrative for the promise of something richer? The threshold loomed before them, bridging childhood shadows and the light of newfound creativity. What awaited them on the other side? Ethan steadied himself as he faced Mr. Thompson. Time slowed, every heartbeat marking the weight of the unuttered words hanging in the air. The scrutiny of his father, once intimidating, began to amplify the determination within him. "This is not just art," he asserted, almost shaking with urgency. "It's us." Mia's song faded into silence as the last note shivered in the atmosphere, and all eyes fell on Mr. Thompson. The flicker of thought crossing his features was a tremor of revelation, a quicksilver moment where defense and inquiry danced closely together. "Why now?" Mr. Thompson finally asked, the question piercing through the tension, aimed at both their souls. "Why should I believe that this is genuine?" Ethan felt a surge of frustration and clarity wash over him. "Because we can no longer hide behind your expectations. We want to create our own path, to show you who we truly are, not who you expect us to be." Each word was a carefully measured breath, balancing hope against anxiety. Beneath the solidity of his father's expression and the expansive mansion that seemed to grow larger in that moment, Ethan began to understand that this confrontation was perhaps more significant than he'd realized. It was not merely about the art or the validation he craved. It was a declaration of autonomy, a statement against the shadow of expectation. Mr. Thompson shifted in his chair, the pyres of wealth and status momentarily dimming in the face of their earnestness. Ethan noticed the change, a glimmer of vulnerability in the granitic resolve. "And what if I don't like it?" his father offered, a challenge laced with genuine uncertainty. "What if we no longer care?" Mia interjected, her voice steady, untouched by fear. "This is our identity, our expression. If you can't see it, then maybe it's time we learn to stand on our own." The words hung in the air, clutching at the threads of connection they had shared through the years. The room held its breath, the portraits on the walls seemingly observing this pivotal moment. Ethan's heart raced not only with fear, but with an awakening sense of empowerment. The potential for rejection loomed darkly in the edges of his mind, yet a burgeoning sense of identity fought to break through that suffocating thought. Mr. Thompson ruminated on Mia's response. The weight of his familial legacy pressed down heavily. "You think this is about me, don't you? It's not just your art, it's my whole life I have built so you would have better." "What use is better if it's void of authenticity?" Ethan countered, the fire of conviction growing more robust within him. "We're not asking for permission, we're asking for understanding." The tide of the room seemed to shift then, the air charged with possibility. Ethan caught a glimpse of resolve forming in his father's eyes, a will to see beyond the narrow frame of expectations. Perhaps a new perspective was rising within him, the realization that the world he had constructed might not align with the essence of his children. "What if your art is not for me?" Mr. Thompson finally breathed, his tone lowering, the edge of authority softening. A simple phrase, yet it exploded within Ethan's heart. "It's not just for you," Mia replied firmly yet tenderly. "It's for us, a representation of who we are becoming." As the weight of their confrontation began to shift, a blend of apprehension and excitement surged through Ethan. Could they truly reshape their connection, redefine their narrative together? Yet beneath the budding hope, a fresh anxiety slithered in. What would happen if their father did not want to let go of his preconceived visions? Would they be prepared to sever bonds of expectation if the need arose? Ethan felt the precipice shift under him, balancing on the knife's edge between risk and reward. Was this the awakening they all needed, or merely a temporary lapse in the rigidity of their long-time dynamic? With the past knocking at the door, the present trembled, teetering into the unknown. In the depths of unresolved questions, Ethan stood firm, his determination hardening like a shield. The moment of truth was approaching, and with every heartbeat, he prepared to embrace not just the artistic vision or parental understanding, but a complete redefining of their familial bond. As they awaited their father's final response, Ethan shivered with the realization that perhaps this was only the beginning of a far more significant transformation. What would be uncovered as they delved deeper into this uncharted territory where art, identity, and acceptance intertwined? Ethan held his breath, the silence thickening like fog enveloping the room. He tried to read his face, searching for some sign, any flicker of acknowledgement, but the expression remained inscrutable. All the years of trying to meet expectations and please Mr. Thompson seemed to swirl in Ethan's mind, a tempest of longing and desperation. This confrontation was not merely a challenge, it was an invocation of an entirely new path, not just for Ethan and Mia, but for their father too. "What if your art is not for me?" echoed in his mind like a mantra. The question tormented him. Did it mean they could finally break free, or was it merely adding layers to an already complex web of disappointment? Mia's gaze stayed fixed on Mr. Thompson, unwavering and fierce. "What if we make something beautiful for ourselves?" The question painted an image of liberation. Ethan felt an electric spark, as if Mia were unveiling parts of him he hadn't yet recognized. He took a moment. Art has the power to create for ourselves first. If we can't express who we are, we'll drown in a sea of expectations. Each word seemed to pull him deeper into a well of conviction. The truth felt like an awakening, pushing through the cobwebbed corners of doubt. "You call this art?" Mr. Thompson said slowly, choosing his words carefully. "But is it really any good? I've built a life that revolves around stability and achievement. What if your passion doesn't measure up?" The challenge hung over them, sharp and undeniable. Ethan inhaled sharply, a wave of determination gripping him. "What defines good art, Dad? Is it the praise it garners, the legacy it leaves, or the very act of creation itself? We've been so focused on acceptance that we've forgotten what resonates with our hearts." The words flowed out, almost intuitive, striking the balance between fear and audacity. The room remained uncertain, but Ethan could feel a shift within himself. With each articulate point made, the childhood tremors he felt in his father's shadow started to dissipate. Something inside him was maturing, burgeoning into a space of self-righteousness tinged with vulnerability. The silence continued to thrum between them, palpable and intense, until Ethan felt the moment arriving for him to push forward, to be candid. "We don't need your approval, but I hope you can understand why this matters so deeply to us. Without authenticity, Mia and I would rather not create at all." A rush of anxiety hit him. How would they move forward if their father remained unmoved? Yet deep down, Ethan understood that his growth relied on vulnerability and meeting this struggle head-on. Mr. Thompson shifted again, considering their words with a different light. "What if this journey costs me something?" His voice was quiet now, a hint of fear seeping into the facade, the fear of losing grip on the legacy he worked hard for. "It's not about losing anything," Mia interjected, her voice cutting the tension. "It's gaining the right to be ourselves, to carve our identity without the chains of the past holding us back. We are not abandoning you, we're inviting you to know us fully." Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unravel. The delicate strands of their relationship were woven together, yet frayed by years of unspoken truths. He wondered if this was the moment they would either liberate themselves or remain entangled in the web of expectations. As Mr. Thompson wiped his brow, a silence descended again. Ethan could feel the winds of change. Clarity beckoned, taunting him. "I need to think about this," his father finally said, visibly torn. As he spoke, Ethan's heart sank, unsure if they had ignited their father's understanding or simply reignited an old battle. Ethan felt the weight of their dissatisfaction settle heavily on him, yet it was mixed with the adrenaline of the unknown, a promise of growth. Could he find a way to balance familial love with the need for personal truth, or would this revelation only widen the chasm between them? As Mr. Thompson stared out of the large window, seemingly lost in thought, a question echoed through Ethan's mind, urgently demanding answers. How far were they willing to go to protect their budding identities and redefine their bond? Would their journey reveal the depth of their father's love, or might it expose darker truths they were unprepared to confront? Ethan's heart raced as the weight of his father's response settled around him like an oppressive shroud. He could feel Mia's hand beside him, warm and reassuring, but the anxiety gnawed at his insides. He had taken a step forward, yet the ground felt shaky beneath him. The silence stretched, heavy with the unsaid and the unresolved. "Thinking is good," Mia said, breaking the stillness with a hint of trepidation lining her voice. "But don't think too long, Dad. We can't be stuck on the brink of possibility." The challenge hung in the air, daring Mr. Thompson to confront not just the decisions before him, but the foundation of his beliefs. Ethan watched his father, the familiar stronghold of his presence now mingled with uncertainty. He seemed to recognize for the first time that life wasn't a smooth path paved by achievements and accolades. Instead, it was fraught with unexpected turns, discoveries that shaped identity in ways strict expectations rarely permitted. "What if you fail?" Mr. Thompson finally turned, eyes keen on Ethan. "What if you pursue this art and it leads nowhere?" The question struck like a blade, cold and sharp, and for a moment, Ethan felt the old fears creeping back. Fear of failure, fear of letting everyone down, fear of stepping too far into the unknown. He hesitated, inhaling slowly to ground himself. Self-doubt was a familiar companion, but he had committed to carving a new path. "What if we do?" he responded, his voice steadier than he felt. "What if we chase it with everything we have? Isn't that better than remaining paralyzed by fear? Isn't the act of trying worth something?" The room felt alive with tension, as if the walls themselves held their breath waiting for change. Ethan's conviction pulsed through him, fueled partly by fear, but largely by hope. He was managing the delicate balance of vulnerability against the raw power of honesty, and with each moment he felt more liberated. "Art is subjective, Dad. Maybe my worth shouldn't hinge on whether I meet a certain standard. Maybe it's about what it brings into our lives, joy, expression, and a sense of self." Mia nodded in agreement, her expression softening as she recognized their shared resolve. "You always taught us to pursue our passions, Dad. What's the difference now? Aren't we entitled to want a life that reflects who we are, not who you want us to be?" Her voice trembled slightly, full of unresolved desire. Mr. Thompson's expression was evolving, though clouds of uncertainty still shadowed it. Ethan dared to hope there might be light breaking through. "We're not looking to abandon you. We want to share our world with you," Ethan continued, his desperation pushing him forward, needing his father to see and feel the authenticity of their plea. The silence grew again, but this one had a different texture. It was laden with the possibilities of revelation instead of despair. Ethan searched his father's demeanor for something, anything, that hinted at a realizable change. Would Mr. Thompson allow himself to be vulnerable in return? "I don't know how to support you in that framework," Mr. Thompson finally replied, a bitter edge cutting through his words. "I've always believed success equates to external validation. What if I find it hard to embrace your world?" Ethan nodded, knowing that each illicit doubt his father expressed was a chance for deeper understanding. "What if you learn? What if we create new definitions together? Change doesn't have to be scary, Dad. It can be transformative." In that moment, there was a palpable shift in the air, an ethereal sense of possibility hanging like a finely spun web between youth and age, desire and duty. The battle lines were drawn not just within himself, but also in the fragile relationship stretching before them. As tension took hold, the feeling of inevitability laced the atmosphere. What if this was not merely a confrontation, but an invitation to reforge the bonds buried under years of denial? But the haunting question remained. If their father released the chains of expectation, what other truths would emerge from the shadows? And could they handle whatever lay ahead? The thought lingered like an echo in Ethan's mind, urging him forward into the unknown. Would this be the beginning of reconciliation? Or would it reveal a rift deeper than they'd anticipated? Ethan's resolve solidified as he realized they were standing at a crossroads not just for himself, but for their entire family. The weight of his father's expectations loomed larger than any canvas he could paint on, transforming into a shadow that threatened to suffocate all hopes of a shared future. He allowed the silence to fill the space for a moment longer, calculating his next words, searching for a key that could unlock the door to understanding. "Have you ever considered what you might gain from trusting us?" Ethan ventured softly, his eyes locked onto his father's. What if the pain of trying and failing becomes a stepping stone? Or what if succeeding ignites something in you that you can't even imagine? Mr. Thompson's brow furrowed deeper, caught in the whirlwind of new possibilities and old insecurities. Ethan could almost see the wheels turning in his father's mind, the struggle between the old guard of success defined by societal metrics and the new definition Ethan was trying to illuminate, a world where personal fulfillment reigned supreme. Ethan shifted his stance, the energy in the room thickening with unresolved tension. "I know I haven't always been open about my aspirations. Perhaps it was easier to fit into what was expected of me, to skate through life on the rails of certainty. But now, standing here, I feel liberated in a way I didn't think was possible. I want you to see that, to experience it with us." Mia squeezed Ethan's hand tighter, a silent agreement that echoed his sentiment. The years of feeling stifled under the weight of their father's accolades seemed to diffuse as they leaned into the light of self-discovery and purpose. "What is success without happiness?" Mia added, her voice cracking slightly under the weight of vulnerability. "Wouldn't it be wonderful to know we could be happy, Dad? Doesn't that matter?" Mr. Thompson's gaze shifted briefly, as if he were searching for something in his children that he had long overlooked. Perhaps even the spark of creativity and ambition that once mirrored the young man he had been. "I don't know how to process this," he admitted, the jagged edges of his voice softening. "It's not how I was raised. I believed in certainty, in the power of accolades. Letting you both go would mean letting go of everything I've worked for, everything I thought I knew." Ethan inhaled deeply, emboldened. "You're not losing us, Dad. You're gaining the chance to know the real us, to help us flourish." In that moment, Ethan found himself teetering on the precipice of vulnerability, torn between the intoxicating possibility of his father's acceptance and the fear of rejection. Yet he understood the radical beauty of this juncture. It was in the unknown that truth lived, and from that truth, connections could either flourish or falter. Ethan needed his father to step into the light, to embrace a new way of seeing the world. The questions hung in the air, laden with implications that could either break them apart or knit them closer. Underneath it all was a deeper yearning, not just for familial approval, but for a mutual understanding that each day was a chance to redefine what it meant to dream. "What happens if I can't?" Mr. Thompson whispered, the guard finally slipping from his voice, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. "What if we figure it out together?" Ethan responded, heart racing as he contemplated the future that lay ahead. Would this moment pivot their existence from fear into a tapestry of shared growth? Would Mr. Thompson take that step into uncertainty with them, or would he retract to the safety of his established walls? As Mr. Thompson regarded his children, the silence felt pregnant with potential, begging for an answer. Ethan sensed that the response could either light their path forward or obscure it for good. Would this moment mark the beginning of a transformative journey, or merely the unearthing of deeper conflicts they had yet to face? Ethan felt the intensity of the moment settle around him like an electric charge. His father's hesitance hung in the air, a tangible barrier, and Ethan's certainty was tested against the weight of years filled with expectations and fear of failure. The conversation felt like a tightrope walk, each word a careful maneuver to maintain balance without toppling into despair. As Ethan wrestled with the silence, a thought struck him, a realization that his father's rigid view of success was not only a prison for him, but for Mr. Thompson as well. How many dreams had his father sacrificed on the altar of confidence and predictability? Ethan's heart softened at the thought, understanding this deep-seated need for approval must have clashed with his father's own latent aspirations, buried under layers of obligation. "Dad," Ethan ventured again, leaning slightly forward, "what if you didn't have to shoulder all of this alone? What if you saw it as an opportunity to explore new horizons, to redefine what your legacy looks like?" His father's gaze flickered, vulnerability battling with long-held beliefs. The man was as much a stranger to risk as he was to this conversation, and Ethan recognized that this wasn't just about him. It was equally about Mr. Thompson grappling with the specter of loss of control, loss of certainty. That clawing fear could potentially consume their dialogue, trapping them in a loop of defensiveness. "What does your vision even hold for me?" Mr. Thompson's voice wobbled, the barriers cracking ever so slightly. "What if I step into the unknown and fail? What does that mean for our family?" Ethan felt the stirrings of anger, not toward his father, but unfairly intense expectations placed upon them by the past. "We can't fail if we're trying, Dad. That's the point." His voice steadied as he continued. "You were never just a provider. You were alive with ambition once too, weren't you? Don't you want to feel that again?" Mia observed the scene quietly, her heart racing alongside her brother's fervency. She couldn't help but think that if their father invested in stepping away from rigid definitions of success, he might reclaim the father they all needed, one driven by connection rather than title. The air shifted as he looked at them, a moment of introspection flickering in Mr. Thompson's eyes. "You deserved a better version of me," he murmured, as though awakening from a long slumber. It was beyond what Ethan had hoped for, a glimpse of acknowledgement. "We're not looking for perfection," Mia whispered, filled with emotion. "We're asking for honesty, for you." At that moment, Ethan felt a sense of breakthrough. In sharing themselves, they had touched a part of their father that had been buried in fear. Perhaps this trajectory did not have a clear destination. Perhaps it was a winding path toward reinventing their family dynamic, their perceptions of love intertwined with aspirations. Ethan had a new clarity. It was not only about convincing his father to step out, but also about creating shared vulnerability. But as possibilities swirled in the air, a nagging thought intruded. What would happen when real challenges emerged? Would Mr. Thompson retreat again to the safety of his former strategies, abandoning the unsteady ground they had just begun to claim? Just then, Mia broke the tension with lightness. "So, Dad, if we're going to try and build a family we can all live with, maybe we should start with something small. What's one passion you've always wanted to explore but haven't?" Ethan held his breath, searching his father's face for hints of an answer, but also bracing for possible regression. The stakes had never felt so high. Could they uncover a new layer of their father through this exploration, or would doubt pull them back again? The answer rested heavily in the space between their hearts, awaiting a response that could either embolden their next steps or tether them to past failures. Ethan's heart raced as he observed his father absorb Mia's question. This seemed like a pivotal moment, filled with tension, yet glimmering with possibility. The room was thick with expectation, and as silence stretched, Ethan's mind replayed their earlier discussions. Had they genuinely opened a door to change, or merely scratched the surface? Mr. Thompson's brow furrowed as he wrestled with the unexpressed passions of his younger self. Ethan caught a glimpse of a man striving against the current of his own doubts. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost tentative. "There was a time I wanted to paint," he said, each word dripping with cautious nostalgia. "Not professionally, just to express myself. I never pursued it, too busy with work, you know." Ethan felt a rush of hope at the admission. The father who'd been encumbered by responsibilities had unveiled a latent desire, one that could reshape the narrative they had all endured. "Why not now?" Ethan urged. "What's stopping you?" "I don't know, Ethan. I'm not an artist," Mr. Thompson countered, the skepticism rising like a tide. "Neither am I, Dad," Ethan replied, grappling with his own insecurities. "But it wasn't about that for me. It was about the exploration, the feeling of paint on canvas, of creation." Mia's voice chimed in, gently supportive. "We could start together, you know, just to see what happens." Something shifted in Mr. Thompson's demeanor, a flicker of intrigue sparking within the creases of his forehead. The challenge of that immense leap, the risk of stepping into the open expanse of uncertainty, might have ripened their family for new beginnings. Yet the thrill of hypothetical exploration weighed heavily against the gravity of his past. "Maybe," Mr. Thompson said slowly, the word lingering like smoke. "But this is all so new, Ethan. What if I fail?" "Failure is part of the process," Ethan pointed out, his own vulnerability creeping in, a pulse of anxiety thrumming beneath his skin. "What matters is that we're trying. You taught me that." The tension in the room momentarily dissolved, allowing laughter to slip between them. Mia grinned mischievously as she said, "Imagine you create the next masterpiece and become famous. We'll sell it and buy a mansion." Ethan watched as a flicker of amusement danced in their father's eyes, the faintest smile forming on his lips, a small victory in the face of years buried under discretion and obligation. Yet a sinister doubt struck Ethan. Was this merely a fleeting moment of levity or a genuine shift toward forging a new legacy? Could their father transcend the expectations that had formed a cage around his spirit? As the conversation flowed into lighter territory, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that deeper questions loomed. If Mr. Thompson embraced painting, would they still cater to his anxiety? Would embracing this passion lead to more truths being uncovered, or would it unleash past failures that would wall them all back into silence? With the path they just began tread yet unset, the question resonated like a siren. Could he help his father navigate the terrifying unknown? The weight of the bravery required loomed large in the atmosphere, and Ethan realized he was caught, not just between his father and the world, but between who he had always been and who he desperately hoped to become. As night fell and the conversations grew softer, he gazed out the window at the darkening sky, agony and anticipation swirling inside him. Though he felt emboldened, fear tinged every earnest thought. This budding realization of both risk and possibility continued echoing loudly within him, as unanswered questions drifted to the surface. Nevertheless, beneath the uncertainty, Ethan sensed this was merely the beginning of unraveling family histories, layers of lost identity, and the reconciliation of all the different versions of his father. Unbeknownst to them, a challenge loomed ahead. The time would come when they would have to confront the realities that could pull them back down, and Ethan braced himself for the journey ahead, one that would undoubtedly make or break them. But suddenly, a new sound disrupted his focus. A faint knock echoed from the front door. Who could it be at this hour? The anxiety stirred again, ignited by a sudden chill that slithered down his spine. The door creaked open, revealing an unexpected guest, a familiar artist from the local community, a friend of Clara's who had offered her support to Ethan and Mia throughout their artistic journey. "I heard about your upcoming show and I couldn't resist the invitation," she said, her voice cheerful and vibrant. As moments stretched into seconds, Ethan felt the atmosphere shift once more. Mr. Thompson remained seated, his initial intrigue now mingled with surprise and unease. Would this new visitor unintentionally disrupt the fragile connection developing between them? "Come in, please," Mia exclaimed, her enthusiasm breaking through the tension. Ethan's heart raced as he exchanged glances with Mia. They were on the verge of an unveiling, and this was an unexpected opportunity to gauge their father's response in a seemingly casual setting. His nervousness receded momentarily, replaced with the thrill of authentic expression. Clara's friend entered, her artist's presence instantly filling the room with an aura of creativity. "I'm so excited to see what you've both been working on. Art transforms us in so many beautiful ways." Each word she spoke felt like a gentle nudge, encouraging Mr. Thompson to lean into the moment. As Mia explained their artwork, a collection of pieces inspired by their interpretations of sound and emotion, Ethan felt warmth rising, as though every stroke on the canvas pulsed with energy. "These represent not just what we feel, but who we are becoming," he stated, carefully gauging his father's reaction. To Ethan's astonishment, Mr. Thompson leaned forward slightly, their unexpected guest's enthusiasm sparking a glimmer of curiosity in his expression. Perhaps he was beginning to see through the lens of their creations, and the word family that echoed in the air. "Maybe you'd like to give us your thoughts," Mia offered, her cautious optimism reflecting Ethan's own unguarded hope. With a touch of support from Clara's friend, Mr. Thompson suddenly found himself immersed in a world he had previously disregarded. He hesitated, then nodded, his face thoughtful. What if this becomes a vehicle for more connection? The gravity of those words landed with sincerity. Ethan sensed a breakthrough. He watched as his father's walls gently began to dissolve, like any pretense around achievement and success slipping away. This moment revealed not only a turning point for him, but also a powerful opportunity for healing. Encouraged, Ethan stepped closer. "We want you to see this side of us, Dad, the joys of creation. It goes beyond just this show. It's our way of redefining family legacy too." Mr. Thompson's eyes shifted, finally locking with Ethan's. "You're asking me to trust you, to share in this experience. It terrifies me," he admitted quietly, vulnerability practicing an uncharacteristic falter in his voice. "But if you didn't take a leap, you wouldn't know," Mia added softly. "Just like you've always taught us about life's uncertainties, right?" Feeling the bravery coursing through him, Ethan positioned himself forward. "Isn't it about time we step off the ledge together, Dad? We could create something beautiful, no strings attached." As moments waned and the room continued to fill with warmth and honesty, Mr. Thompson pondered. With each passing second, Ethan felt lighter, as if the burdens he had carried were being released into the space between them. Was it possible they might emerge from this with a transformed understanding of each other? "I'm scared," Mr. Thompson finally confessed, the weight of those syllables laying bare the reality they'd navigated for so long. That fear had chained them all in a cycle of expectation and disappointment. "It's okay to be scared," Clara's friend interjected gently. "In exploring creativity, especially as a family, you're beginning something new together. That can be both thrilling and terrifying." Ethan sensed a shift. His father was beginning to embrace vulnerability, standing in the complicated terrain of family identity and ambition. Inspired, Ethan reached out his hand to Mr. Thompson. "Let's discover together." In a moment unique and charged, Mr. Thompson clasped Ethan's hand, and with that gesture, something crackled in the air. A promise of connection and exploration, unburdened by the expectations that once loomed. All at once, a profound clarity washed over Ethan. This was the moment where growth catalyzed. He could feel the weight of expectations dissipate like mist. They were no longer swallowed by ambition, but instead buoyed by reciprocal trust in each other. As the formalities of the evening yielded to genuine curiosity, they discussed art, dreams, and inhibitions. Mr. Thompson shared stories with his children that unfurled years of emulated strength, and together they began to sketch a path forward, a melding of their creative spirits that could fortify the familial bond. In the weeks that followed, Ethan, Mia, and Mr. Thompson delved deeper into the thus uncovered dimensions of their relationship. Just as Clara had once sparked the connection between siblings, the practice of creativity ignited a fresh fire among them, stripping away the layers that had hidden their and their father's true selves. At their first gallery showcase, Mr. Thompson stood proudly beside them, a touch of artistic paint smudged upon his forehead, a visual representation of their shared journey. "I see you both now," he remarked softly amidst the echoes of applause. "I'm not afraid anymore." With his father's acknowledgement rippling through that crowded space, Ethan basked in the symphony of applause and embrace, of genuine recognition and love, a far cry from the solitary world that had once defined their luxurious yet suffocating mansion. They had indeed conquered the divide. Mr. Thompson, Ethan, and Mia had transformed, each emerging stronger and more resolute in their own ways. A family bound not just by blood, but intertwined by shared passions. In that moment, Ethan's heart soared with a sense of belonging. He had achieved more than he ever thought possible, a lasting familial connection rooted in understanding. Now he felt the exhilaration driving him forward, not towards the expectations of success, but in living a life of authenticity and artistry. They had found their way together into the light, forging a new era where creativity and love would carry them into the future, together. Thank you for following this emotional journey of empowerment and transformation. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow further. Comment below your reactions and theories about this heartfelt conclusion. And most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this resolution. Don't wait even one more second to share.